been bullied before? Do you wonder what it would be like if your words were able to create spells to help insult people? Well, without further ado, we have the Silverquill house at Strixhaven. Well, not necessarily a house, it's more of a campus. Houses are a different thing. But besides the point, I want to talk specifically today about the Silverquill Influence Precon that came out with the Secrets of Strixhaven commander deck earlier this year, because I think it was a commander deck that was rather interesting in its specific approach, and I felt like it'd be fun to try to focus on it. So, without further ado, let's get right into the party. All right, so first and foremost, let us look at the man, the myth, the legend, Killian, Dina's boyfriend. Hey, that's a fun little reference if you read the novel Secrets of Nope. Yes. Secrets of Strixhaven Planar Chaos. No, Omens of Chaos. One of those words, probably helped to write it down, but in that it's rather alluded to that Killian and Dina are in a relationship, which is kind of cute. But anyway, Killian, Decisive Mentor, is a one colorless Orzhov, or white black, with the ability whenever an enchantment you control enters, tap one target creature and goad it. And whenever one or more creatures that are enchanted by an aura you control attacks, draw a card. Now, the backup commander to this deck is Scriv, the Obligator, a two colorless white black flying death touch 2/3 inkling bird with the ability of when Scriv enters or attacks, create a white aura enchantment token named Contract attached to target creature an opponent controls. That the token has enchant creature, and whenever it attacks, it gets +2/0 until end of turn if it's attacking one of your opponents. Otherwise, its controller loses 2 life. Now, it might be relatively obvious, but the main focus of this deck is going to be casting a lot of auras to try to target either your stuff or your opponent's stuff to make them have to do specific things, and doing a lot of goad. So you have different things in here, such as Iriet of the Charmed Apple, a one colorless Orzhov, 2/4 legendary human warlock with when each creature that's enchanted by an aura you control can't attack you or planeswalkers you control. And at the beginning of your end step, each opponent loses X life, you gain X life, where X is the number of auras you control. A really good thing to have in this deck. You also have Killian Ink Duelist, which is the original Killian that came in the first Strixhaven set in 2021. A white black 2/2 lifelink menace human warlock with spells you cast that target a creature cost 2 less to cast, which it's really fun. If you watch the reveals videos around this set, they announced like main reason they did some of these specific commanders for the precons was because they had these versions of the characters in the original set, and a lot of people were building commander decks with them as the head, so they felt it would be fun to have, Killian in his final year, who is now a mythic rather than an uncommon. So it's just really fun, like, storytelling that they have there. You also have SRAM, Senior Edificer. Whenever you cast an aura, equipment, or vehicle, you draw a card, so that's going to allow you to get a lot more auras in your hand and burn through that. So, that being said, there's some specific cards I decided I wanted to remove to try to make this deck that much better, because this was a deck that seems to be one of the more popular ones. I've gone to 2 local game stores where this is the most expensive deck that they have listed. A completely different conversation of if you're going to be marking up decks, why not mark them all up to be the same price instead of having, the Silverquill deck be damn near double MSRP? But, that's a completely different story that I am still kind of upset about, that made me not want to go to a specific store anymore. Anyway, so some of the cards I specifically wanted to remove are as follows: Secret Rendezvous, Nils Discipline Enforcer, Shadrick's Silverquill, the original Silverquill from the Strixhaven set, Mangara the Diplomat, Defacing Dusk Mage, Ajani's Chosen, Forum Filibuster, Doomwake Giant, Screams from Within, Armored Sky Hunter, Eldrazi Conscription, and Combat Calligrapher. Now, as I always say, it's not that these cards are just bad, it's one of those of with the specific things that I want to do with this deck, it would be better to not have them as part of the 99, but I'm pretty sure they can go decently in other decks. Now, some of the cards that I would like to add are you're probably going to see a good chunk of them are from Duskmourn because that set was very, very focused on having a lot of enchantments because one of the main things were enchantment rooms. So, because of that, you're going to see a lot of that. With our first card here being Ethereal Armor, a 1 white aura with enchanted creature gets +1/+1 each for each enchantment you control and has first right. Now, with this deck, if you're going to have a bunch of enchantments and auras, not even just including the ones in your deck, but also the contract tokens, that creature that you're enchanting with this aura is going to get very beefy. And along those same lines, I would want to add All That Glitters, a 1 colorless white card from Commander Masters. With enchant creature, it gets +1/+1 for each artifact and or enchantment you control. Again, another one of those things that is just not bad at all. I would also add in Mesa Enchantress, a 1 colorless, 2 white, 0/2 human druid with whenever you cast an enchantment spell, you may draw a card. Adding in from the Neon Kamigawa set, a 1 colorless white Light Pause Emperor's Voice. I do not know why I started that statement that way. That was weird, but that's fine. With the ability of whenever an aura enters the battlefield under your control, if you cast it, you may search your library for an aura card with mana value less than or equal to that aura and with a different name than each aura you control. Put that card onto the battlefield attached to Light Pause, then shuffle. Whew, that was a lot of words. Sorry about that. Next, I would add in Sphere of Safety, which was also reprinted during the Duskmourn set, specifically in the Orzhov. No, that was a Esper commander deck that was all about doing enchantments and that kind of stuff. A 4 colorless white enchantment with creatures can't attack you or planeswalkers you control unless their controllers pay X for each of those creatures, where X is the number of enchantments you control. So this is going to be an even beefier version of Ghostly Prison or Propaganda, where your opponents are literally going to have to pay to attack you, but because you're already running enchantments, this is going to be a lot bigger than a Ghostly Prison or Propaganda. Next, I was going to add Danitha Capuchin Paragon, also from Commander Masters. They did have a reprint in the Final Fantasy's source material sheet with. Oh, I had it and I lost it. Forgot his name. But he's really cool character that I really like. But this is a 2 colorless white 2/2 human knight with first strike, vigilance, lifelink, and auras and equipment spells you cast cost 1 less. Again, not bad. Relatively obvious as to why you'd want to add that. Also would want to add in Mantle of the Ancients, which was a card in the Dungeons and Dragons precons, a 3 colorless, 2 white enchantment aura with when it enters the battlefield, return any number of target auras or equipments from your graveyard to the battlefield attached to enchanted creature, and enchanted creature gets +1/+1 for each aura and equipment attached to it. I would also want to add in Victor Vagovos Seneschal from the Duskmourn set. I know, I warned y'all, there's going to be a lot of Duskmourn in here, but, it's rather not that surprising. He is a one colorless Orzhov 3/3 with Eerie whenever a enchantment you control enters and whenever you fully unlock a room. Surveil 2 if it's the first time this ability has occurred. Each opponent discards a card if it's the second. If it's the third, put a creature card from the graveyard onto the battlefield under your control. Not terrible, especially if you're going to be casting a lot of relatively cheap enchantments along the way. The next one I would want to add in is none other than Nurgle's Rot from the Warhammer set. A one black enchantment aura with you enchant creature an opponent controls, and when that dies, you return Nurgle's Rot to your hand, and you create a 1/3 black demon creature token named Plague Bearer of Nurgle. So this is a really cheap aura that you're basically going to be able to just like cast, and that thing will die. You'll get it back and you just keep doing that, and then you'll be able to get a bunch of black demon creature cards at the exact same time, which is really good. Next, I would add in Grievous Wound from the Duskmourn set. I know, so surprising. A 3 colorless, 2 black enchantment aura where you enchant a player. That player can't gain life, and when it is dealt damage, they lose half their life rounded up. So if you just want to be mean, putting this in there and, making them relatively upset. Next, I would add in Authority of the Consoles, a 1 white enchantment that was added in the Foundation set, which makes creatures your opponent control enter tapped, and whenever a creature an opponent controls enters, you gain 1 life. And last but not least, I would add in Ghostly Dancers. A 3 colorless, 2 white creature spirit from, say it with me, Duskmourn, a 2/5 flying spirit with, when it enters, return an enchantment card from your graveyard to your hand. And whenever an enchantment you control enters, you create a 3/1 white spirit creature token with flying. Now, I think this is a fun way to go about changing the way this deck works. I know there's other ways you can go about it, and I would kind of like to know, if you were to go about upgrading this deck, which route would you go? Would you want to go heavily in the auras category, or would you want to do something else? Let me know down in the comments below. And that's about it. So if you really like this, please be sure to leave a like, hit the subscribe button and the bell so you can get notified whenever I upload a new video. If you would like to see any of my previous Commander breakdown videos, there's going to be a link right up here to my Commander breakdown playlist, which will have each of the videos that I have put up in this series, which are pretty fun to watch. But that's about it. So without further ado, I will see y'all all in the next video. Thanks for watching, and bye!